What's the most fascinating thing you've learned recently? Platypus doesn't have a stomach. Oxford University is older than the Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan, located in Mexico. Captive species of migratory birds will exhibit migratory restlessness during the time they should be migrating. They'll start flitting about their cage and generally orient themselves in the direction they should be traveling. The word for this behavior is zuganru. Migratory birds also undergo wild changes in their body. Some of them will shrink internal organs by 25 to make more room for fat, and may double their body weight only to lose almost all of it over the course of their journey, and can starve to death in a few hours if they don't find food immediately upon arrival. In December of 1971, Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention were playing the Montreux Casino on Lake Geneva when an audience member shot a flare gun off inside the casino. It caused a fire that burned the casino to the ground and lost Frank and the band $50,000 worth of equipment and put a halt to the tour for a week. The next gig they played was in London, and Frank was attacked by an audience member whose girlfriend was obsessed with Zappa. Frank was pushed off stage and seriously injured, requiring him to have to use a wheelchair for a long time, and having to halt touring for a year while he recovered. In the history of Frank Zappa, this was a major turning point for him artistically. The night the casino burned, another band was scheduled to record the next day, and that band watched the building burn from their hotel across the lake. It inspired them to write the biggest hit of their careers and one of the most famous songs for starting guitar players. The band was Deep Purple and the song was Smoke on the Water. The Star Wars opening crawl was done physically with practical effects in the original trilogy. I've always been a little annoyed by words that seem to contradict their definitions, like monosyllabic having a whole bunch of syllables, and long being a shorter word than short. It turns out these types of words are called heterological words. Their opposite, words that follow their definitions, are autological or homological. Mice and rats can't vomit. A lot of back pain people experience also has a lot of psychological aspects to it. Quite some people don't have to suffer the pain if you look at their body through scans, yet they do. And other people, if you'd MRI them, you'll see displaced discs and whatnot who do not experience back pain. South Africa has an HIV rate of 20. The intelligence of an octopus, I find, is absolutely amazing. There's an ancient species of hominids, think ancient humans, that existed thousands of years ago. These ancient hominids are called Denisovans. How did they get that name? Their bones were found in a cave where a homeless man named Denis lived. There's literally an ancient species of hominids that we know not much about, that are named after a homeless guy. Fascinating. Lilies are poisonous. Don't eat polar bear liver. That if you stare long enough at a blank wall, it can change colors because of the lack of input your brain is receiving. It begins to create its own. The time between now and when Stegosaurus were alive is less than the time between Stegosaurus and the Tyrannosaurus rex. SS Wassertank translation from German. Freshwater seaweed is a freshwater aquarium plant that resembles kelp or other kinds of seaweed, growing in a loose ball. However, despite growing underwater and looking like seaweed, it is actually the gamdophyte of Lalmuriopsis lineata, a species of Essayasian fern. That IHOP stands for International House of Pancakes. Don't judge me. Some people like me. 1. Evidently, deer antlers are basically tamed cancer. Something about the growth using the same kinds of genes that otherwise would be tumors. Seems weird, but evidently wild rabbits, or is it hares, can get a disease that makes them grow horns, so deer just made it work. 2. Cobras and their type of venom are recent in terms of evolution. Scientists did science things do establish that fact. Seems you can tell if a species encountered cobras early by genetics. A few species show genetics that help survive cobra bites. I am super dumbing this down, cause I only get the basic level. A weird type of amphibian, plus chimps and humans, are the species that show this. Now, other research has shown that primate pattern recognition is programmed to recognize snakes above all else. So to me, what this all says is that the hold me beer while I poke this human behavior goes back millions of years. If your stepsis is stuck in the washing machine, don't help her.